Oh, yeah. Greetings and salutations, my fine metal friends. Welcome to the first Quarancast. Is this actually streaming live? Oh, my God. Is this streaming live? Can it be? I am Chuck.
I'm Godless.
And it's great to be, officially back. Yeah, I think so. In such a weird
Stop
way.
looking at us. Yeah. Look at the camera.
Where? Oh yeah, we got to look over there. I forget. This is video too, man. It's not just audio. So many things have changed. So many things have changed. It's unreal. So we've been trying to battle through like technical difficulties, trying to figure out exactly like how all this stuff is working and how to do this. Because normally, like audio wise, I can just hit record when both of us connect to each other and we start talking and life is good, right? Maybe. Okay. But now we're trying to add this in and add a little video aspect to it. So
and go live.
Yeah.
That's the killer. That's the killer.
And we are technically live on YouTube right now at this point. Oh, look at this. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm seeing some chat going on and all that good stuff too as we go. So you can chat to us, people. And we can see your chat, hopefully respond to you as we go, and see how all this plays out.
Yeah. Please, everybody, share this out. Sorry it's taking us so long to get it up and going this evening. Not going to apologize for being so long before we come back.
Well, it's only been what? How long has it been since we've been doing the metal podcast? 2 years now.
Yeah, I think it's been just about 2 years.
And absolutely nothing has happened in 2 years, which is pretty brilliant. We are exactly the same people we were when we stopped doing the podcast before.
No.
Are
we gonna get a tour? Are we gonna get a tour of your lair there in your house?
Dude, I would if my camera was not so shitty. Like this. I tried to find a new camera just so that I could do this. And if you notice that, and I'm not like an expert at video, obviously, even my camera aspect ratio is completely wrong. So it's not even in like high def. This is like not even 720. This is like whatever old camera I could find that would just turn on at this point. So yes, I would totally give you a view of my layer behind me. I got my Pink Floyd thing on the wall. I got my Legos over there. I've got my turntable and all my setup stuff. So, I'm like, I'm in my little zone here. And this is actually where we started this podcast when it was Visions from the Dark Side way back when. I'm recording it right in this room. It smelled a little bit more like smoke back then. But
like how many years ago would that have been?
I was trying to figure that one out because I was looking through old, trying to find our intros last week and stuff. And I think it was like 2012, maybe 2013, maybe like right around there. So it's 7-8 years ago, man, something like that.
Wow.
It's been some time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate it when time passes. I just really do. It just gives me so much anxiety.
Well, it does and it doesn't. I mean, it's just going to keep on ticking no matter what, right? So
yeah, don't mention that. That sucks.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a while. We've done this for a while. So it was somewhat wrenching when we stopped doing it. It was a kick in the teeth, but at the same time, I think it had run its course for the time being. But I miss talking to you, so that's why we're here.
I was listening to Ian Christie earlier today, and he's celebrating the 35th anniversary of Hell Awaits.
Whoa.
35 years. And it was funny because I remember it being like 1987, 1988 on my bike down to Rock of Ages in Westland, Michigan. And then they didn't have it on cassette. And I went to another store. They had it used on cassette. I bought that. And I think it was Eternal Nightmare by Violence. And Hell Awaits. I was like so excited. I got my little Walkman on my bike. I pop in Hell Awaits and I'm listening to it. And I go, yeah, this kind of sucks. And then I'm listening to what Ian Christie's playing. And I got my kid in the car. And I'm like, you know what? It's funny, like 35 years ago, the first time I heard this album, I'm like, this album kind of sucks. And then here I am, I listened to it 35 years later, and I'm like, still kind of sucks.
uh, funny thing is on my radio show tonight, I am going to play something from Hell Awaits, as a matter of fact. So, it does happen from time to time. That not my favorite album.
No, I mean, it's like, it's super, super mega raw. They didn't know how to write a song yet.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, we're just going to go fast, and, it was great. It's great because that's what it is at that time. But it's not good music,
Mm. So how does that, what are you trying to relate that we were good at the time, but it's still not good? Is that kind of how this goes? Or like, no matter which moment in time, it's still okay. We're still sort of okay, man.
Oh shoot! Our live stream is eternal circling.
Oh, nice. Well, we'll have to let it roll and see what happens. I can't figure it out right now. We just need to talk and see how it goes.
Yeah. But the whole thing that's like, I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, first of all, like Gary Holt tests positive for coronavirus. Now I know it wasn't while he was on tour with Slayer, right? But if you're Tom Araya, who like all you've been just begging everyone for like 3 years, let me social distance. That's all I really want to do is social distance. Do you think that like Tom Araya, like now that he's got to be so mega social distance, is he like doing a big old "I told you so," or do you think that he's just kind of I don't know, missing it a little bit, just like everybody else is kind of missing going outside?
And see, I was thinking about that. Like if you're stuck at home and you got nothing to do, you can barely go to the grocery store to do things. Is this the time when you have a chance to reflect at all the petty arguments and bullshit that you went through with your bandmates and are like, you know what? Maybe we did have it pretty good. Maybe that was pretty nice. Maybe we need to rethink some of those things and find a way to bury the hatchet and keep going. And
yeah. You know what it is? It's just like everybody, they're all calling each other up going, hey, you remember that guy who used to play bass for us? Has he got coronavirus yet? I hope he had. That's how that's rolling. Everybody's better.
We need to add to the lineup there, because there's just we need more people on the roster.
Although it is going to be kind of scary every time you see, how it is now. Like anytime somebody's name starts trending on Twitter, you're like, oh shit, are they dead?
Right.
Like Bill Withers died earlier this week, which was really sad. But like, there's been so many sort of like false alarms that I didn't react with Bill Withers. Maybe he died. I thought maybe something else had happened. But then like now it's going to be like, such and such band have departed, with broken up with their or no longer playing with the drummer. And my first reaction is going to be like, so are they dead from coronavirus or are they just creative differences?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there could be a rash of people getting back together, rethinking things, man. But I don't know. It's a possibility. I mean, look at what it's done for us. Here we are. We're living in the same city now. In 2 years removed, and here we are doing this podcast again. So.
When you sent me a message, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, and said, "Hey, would you want to do this?" Like, I didn't even think twice. Like I'd said yes before I thought to myself, "Wait a minute, what's he up to?" Like, what? You know what I mean?
Hey, well, we enjoy each other's company. That's the whole thing. And what's funny about this is, and I was thinking about this today before we were going to record, I'm like, this is practically how we did this for 3 years of doing this podcast together, when you were remote in another country. So we were like on the phone, basically, doing this remotely for all that time too. So this is not much different than what we've done before.
Yeah, and it's funny that you're bringing that up, because like that recording with you while I was there was like this lifeline for me to a certain amount of normalcy and a certain amount of like that some sort of social contact, because for some people who may have gone through an immigrant experience, and as a white guy, there's only so much of an immigrant experience I can have going to another white guy country, but like there still is that like you are an other, if that makes sense. And so like being able to talk to you once a week was my way of kind of going, oh, it's okay. I'm floating around the earth. It's what
I'm
it
still
felt like.
part of the same, I'm still swimming in the same ocean of air, at least,
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah, yeah, or like Houston. The temperature is dropping rapidly out here. What can you do? That's what that call was.
Yeah.
Once,
Yeah.
you
You're
know.
not floating away. It's like you're definitely still around somewhere. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally get it, man.
Uh,
Yeah. Ugh. But and now, we feel that way and you're just across town. So,
Yeah, well, and that's what's interesting now is that I think for a lot of people, I see a lot of these live streams are going on. I'm spending a lot of my time watching live streams. I got to say, whenever I have a chance, I don't know, everybody keeps on their social media talking about how much time they've got. Man, I've got like no time. Like I'm busier
right.
than ever, and that blows. But it's all self-imposed, I guess. But like when I do put on something, it's like, oh, I'm, spoiled for riches, like with Omnium Gatherum and Insomnium are doing a live stream. I think it's just coming Friday afternoon or yeah, like noon on Friday, Eastern Standard Time. And I was like, oh man, that's going to be awesome to watch.
Hmm.
So stuff like that is cool.
Yeah, well, and I think we're going to see some innovation here as this proceeds, because we're probably going to be asked to stay at home for quite a few more weeks at least. Anyway, I
Yeah.
mean, I am in my regular day job considered an essential employee, so basically, I'm still working the same way I had before anyway. So it's been kind of weird for me to not have see all these people experiencing what they are, and the only thing that affects me is that I have a longer line at the grocery store when I've got to go and do
Mhm.
some shopping for the family. So
So are
I'm
you
yeah.
you're actually going into the studio Monday through Friday?
Yep. Yep. I'm
Wow.
still working regular. Well, and mainly it's because it's a job that, like, the lights got to stay on. We had squirrels I had to chase down in the attic the other day. So, I mean, like, shit, you never know what the fuck is going to happen. And you still have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm still the guy that's got to deal with that stuff. And, the other day we had 3 radio stations go out the air. I get the call. I got to go do it. I got to go deal with it. So it's all part of it, man. So,
Oh.
it's one of those things. And so for everybody who's like, I've had all this time, I'm kind of in the same boat as what you're talking about, not self-imposed, but I'm still doing what feels somewhat regular. So the commute feels awesome, but then that's when you know that something is not right. Something is definitely wrong.
Yeah, your commute must be what, like 20 minutes or
Dude, it
something?
totally is now.
Oh, that's
It is. So I
instead of an
mean,
hour and 10.
yeah, there's a saving grace to it, if nothing else, in that respect. That's how I know we're starting to get back to normal, is when I actually have to sit in the morning drive traffic. I'd be like, oh, finally, we're starting to get back to normal. Yay.
So one of the things that I keep on hearing is that how, like streaming on Spotify and Apple Music, all of them, their numbers are up because,
Mm,
a lot of people are working from home and all that stuff.
yeah.
But people are listening to the stuff that they're familiar with. They're listening to like,
Old stuff.
old standards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. Stuff that they, stuff from 1981 and 1984 that they've
Mm.
always listened to. Like, is that what you are doing through all this?
It's weird, man. I know that I've kind of gone back and forth, honestly, because I'm still, still doing the radio show too. So I'm still staying fresh, still listening to new music. But honestly, like the last couple of years worth of metal have been kind of meh. So there hasn't been like a lot of new stuff that I've really been branching out and like grabbing onto, because there's nothing that touches my innards the way I want it to. It's like I want something that's gonna give me some kind of something. We were talking before we started streaming about Igor, and
Mm.
like stuff that is going to change the landscape a little bit, and stuff that's really interesting. So it's good to be on top of stuff like that. But I have been listening, admittedly, to a lot of old friends. Going back and listening to my Iron Maiden catalog, going back and listening to my Bad Religion catalog, the stuff that really makes me feel good. So I mean, I think there's something to be said for that, where people are going back to listening to things that give them comfort, whatever that is. If that comfort is the time when they were 18 and felt safe or felt in love, or they're going back to things that feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So new music, if by its definition, should be challenging in some respect in a way that you may not expect or is not what you're used to. So this is the last time in your life probably that you feel like having that feeling, because it's already a challenging fucking time for you no matter what, right? Everything is weird and different. So the last thing you want is your entertainment to be challenging and weird. I was, fuck watching like some French art house flick. I'm watching Zombieland Double Tap, like I just want some simple dick jokes and some monster truck squashing some zombies. You know what I'm saying? Like keep it simple.
Well, what's interesting there is that, like, that Igor album, like you said, like it is challenging music, and so I wonder if the timing of this particular album and this particular time period is just not right, even though it is an exciting piece of music, because it's going to, hopefully, if enough people hear it, it's going to move things forward.
Absolutely not. I think this is perfect timing for it more than anything else, because, and the reason I say that is because it is one of those albums that mass audiences, and one of the bands that mass audiences will never get. Like they've never gotten it. They never will. It's just one of those things. People that really enjoy music will really enjoy this. So when I see Travis Ryan from Cattle Decapitation, posting about this is the most amazing thing that he's ever heard or seen. These two people are some of the most innovative, creative things. What it is, it's inspiring to musicians who've got a shit ton of time on their hands right now.
Yeah.
So you get people that look at this group and go, well, shit, okay, we need to like step this up, so hopefully it's the perfect time for it, so it inspires some of these musicians that are kind of sitting on their thumbs a little bit, trying to figure out what to do to be even more creative than they were going to be before, and try different things that it's like, well, shit, this is, who would have thought that would work, like what, why would you do, okay, all right, it works,
Yeah.
so, and that's what I'm hoping is why it's the perfect time for it.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, Legion just posted their cover of Roundabout.
Dude,
Their covers of the Rush tunes were amazing, but
yeah,
like, oh my God, it's so good. And
that bass though, man, is like, damn. Oh, I know, it's so good, so good. Because I was wondering, I was like, how are they going to handle it, dude? Like, how are they going to handle it? And yeah, like that was really, really good.
And why not do the clean singing?
Right?
He's so good. It's like, why not just do that with new material? I don't know. I like it, mix it up. Just sort of like, I mean, when you look at like, who is it? Frickin', I can't forget it. I can't remember anybody's name anymore. It's so bad. That's one of the really cool things about the isolation thing, is that like there's no more uncomfortable moments where I bump into people who I don't know their name. Like if somebody hits me up with like a Zoom, I'm gonna take a minute to figure out who it is. You know what I mean?
Well, and pretty soon what's going to happen is everybody's going to have a mask on, so you won't be able to recognize anybody. Be like, hey man, it's so and so. Like I had somebody come into the office the other day and they were masked up with gloves and hoodie on and stuff. It's like, hey, it's me, and I'm like, I know it's you. It's okay. Oh, okay. Just in case a lot of people didn't recognize it. I'm like, okay. You'll be able to. It'll make your social distancing or social interactions even more less distancing. Or wait, or no, how's it supposed to work? You're supposed to be distanced, but you still should be together. I don't know. We have to be apart to be together or something. I don't know.
So all right, so when we wrapped up, when we were doing the metal podcast, like there was plenty of stuff that was going on in metal and all that sort of thing, but like the thing that was real interesting to me was hearing all of the personal stuff that was going on with you, because there was all the stuff going on where you got to meet your birth mom.
Yep.
You, like, never dreamed of that even being a possibility when we first started recording, and just how that all unraveled, like episode after episode, which for me like was the coolest thing. But that only started stuff for you. Like, what happened after that? What's happened over the last 2 years?
Well,
that
I mean,
instigated.
Oh, dude, that whole thing has instigated so many different things like in my life as far as like changes and stuff, man. I mean, uh, because I finally got to actually meet my family, which is pretty cool. Of course, in this time when we're all kind of scared of viruses and things like that, it's even more unnerving because I have even more family to worry about, and they're like outside of a really big major metro, so it's like, "Urgh," and one is an ER nurse, so like it's
Uh,
it's that's kind of like a little daunting, but I will say that it's been very, very cool to meet other people that are it's the it's the weird nurture versus nature thing, to where it's a bunch of people that are just like you that have had no access to what you grew up with whatsoever. So it's weird to see personality traits and other things that are similar to your own. And how that how is that possible? Like, I just don't, like, is that how is that genetically coded in there? It's so strange to see the little quirky things that are the same about us, which is pretty cool. But I've gone up north to meet everybody, so get to hang out with them more than once. We did a summer where we hung out 4th of July, met my or brought my mom from down here to meet my mom from up there, and like she's come down here a couple of times, so we've gotten to hang out and do stuff, so that's been pretty cool. And find out more about her. And actually what's interesting is how just seriously, man, I don't, it's genetically coded shit, man. I really don't understand how it works, because I swore that I was so much like my mom, my well, it's like, how which one is my real mom? So my adoptive mother, I swore that I was so much like her because I spent so much time with her, and we are so similar in our personalities. But then you meet birth mom, and she and I are almost like, we use the same phrases and have never had conversations about these things, like we like stuff like that. So many weird similarities there.
and does that freak her out too?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, it doesn't seem like it freaks her out. It just seems like she's like, yep, yep, that's my boy, kind of thing. It's like, it's like it's just kind of ingrained. So I didn't, and it's pretty cool to discover all those types of things that are
And
really
when
cool.
you talk about like these similarities, like I guess the thing that's like the positive side of it. Do recognizing these similarities then sort of expose the differences with your adopted family more than you might have recognized before?
What do you mean?
I mean, like when you see these similarities in your that are genetic, and
Mhm.
like you're talking about, oh, well, I thought I was more similar to my adopted mom. Now, there's things that I would imagine that are genetic that have come through that like you don't click with, but before it didn't really matter. But now you start to see them and go, oh wait, but I don't share that. And
Mm.
the differences get exposed. No?
I mean, somewhat, but I think we're more apt to recognize those similarities than we are the differences, especially at this point, right? I mean, we want to identify, and those things stick out even more, because it's something that I recognize. So birth mom says something, and I'm like, oh my god, I've said that for like 20 years, and you can't help but recognize it because it's part of who you are. So we align things up. It's making order out of chaos. It's what we do as humans. So
Yeah.
it's our attempt to make order out of it. Whether or not that's totally true or not, I don't know. But I've discovered a lot of things. So and then also other genetic things, not just those personality traits, but it's why my neck hurts and why my back hurts, and all those like physiological things that are fun. So
Yeah.
there's that. But so I mean that's the good side. And I think there's some differences in some other things that they've gone through that I haven't, which is what I think you're kind of getting at, that are definitely defining whether their lives are better than mine or other things like that. I think we've all made our own choices. We're all pretty much on the same level as far as people, careers and things like that. We've all decided, gone good paths, I think, for everybody, which is pretty cool. So, it's a pretty good deal overall. Now, the other side was dad's side, and I got to meet birth dad, and that inspired me to lose 120 pounds because, that was such a weird, harrowing kind of thing as well. Uh, Meeting your father who has had a couple of heart attacks, a couple of strokes, open heart surgery, all of those things. And he's just what, shy of 64 ish, like right there. And it's like, okay, so I have lost over 100 pounds. I have quit smoking. I have pretty much like stopped drinking for the most part. Like so many different things that I have changed in my life because of meeting him. So there's some other things that I've adjusted based on that experience as well, that were different and motivating. Let's say is I think
Yeah.
is probably the best way to look at it.
Like, I mean, like you consciously know that you need to get into better shape because you've heard 100 times,
Yeah.
like this is, but like, so when you see it there and it's dad, is that what really kind of makes it like, so it's actionable information, I guess?
Well, it's one of those like you base things on information that you're given, right? It's like, okay, well, I know that smoking is bad. Okay, I know that being 100 pounds overweight is bad. Like I know those things are bad. Yeah, but how bad are they? I haven't seen any evidence of them, like fucking with my life. I mean, come on, I'm okay. Maybe I need a little bit of Viagra or something every once in a while. But I mean, the thing. But overall, it's not really screwing with my life. I really like enchiladas, so. eh, it's like, but when you meet your father, who has trouble putting together thoughts and speaking, which is one of those things that I like to do quite a bit, as if you can't tell, we're podcasting again. That is sort of frightening. And to understand that that is really about choices and choices that he had made in his life. And it's direct, like it's evidence that you can see, that's tangible, that's right there in front of your face, that if this then this, it sort of made me go, yeah, I got no excuse now, like none. Before I was like, I just don't know, man,
Yeah.
and now it's like, no, now I know. So I mean, as soon as I got back from meeting everybody for the first time and coming back to Texas, I went and got a CT scan, like of my lower ascending artery. Like I went and got a heart CT scan to make sure like what my plaque score was, and to check all that stuff out to see where I'm at, because I was still 300 pounds at that point, and was like, okay, let's see where we are. And my plaque score is very low, so I was pretty lucky with that, in that I haven't done like a lot of irreparable damage at this point. So at that point, I was like, okay, I took it as good news and took it as sort of a canary in the coal mine kind of thing. Like I see that, then I'm not, I'm not too damaged. Maybe I can like repair some shit. You know what I mean? And make it so that I don't do even more. So it was kind of inspiring overall,
And then
to
how
say the
did you
least.
do it? And is that like a conversation that you have with like the wife and kid, or is it just totally in your head and it just boom, the switch is flipped?
That's the head, man. That's not that's nobody else but me, man. More than anything else. It's because my wife didn't throw food down my throat to make me fat. It's like it was me stopping and getting candy every night. Like that's me. That's my dumb ass who was doing that stuff. So, I had that conversation with myself. The conversation that my wife and I have more than anything about that kind of thing stuff was about how bad I felt about myself, and physically, and my knees hurt, my back, like it shows itself in so many other ways. I'm always tired, all those things, right? So that's that part of the conversation. But we'd had that for years,
Yeah.
and it was just more bitchy whiny than anything else. But actually doing something about it was all about the conversation in my brain.
And I'm
And
surprised to hear you say that you were tired all the time because, God damn it, you barely ever slept.
but that was kind of the point, right? So the fuel is sugar and caffeine. So like it's weird. You'd have spikes, ups and downs. So you get tired, you eat a bunch of crap, and then you feel okay for a little while, you keep going, and then you start to come down, you eat more crap, and so on the cycle continues, you know. I mean, and I've discovered that, and how that is part of my well-being now has to do with uh has to do with food and my relationship with food and how damaged that was and has been forever. You know, I'm still tired because I don't sleep enough, but it's because I don't sleep enough. You know, it's not because I'm spiking and dropping and blood sugars all over the place. I'm
Mm.
even when I'm awake and I'm good, and then when it's time to sleep, I'm tired and I go to sleep. You know, like that's kind of how it works. Instead of being falling asleep sitting at my desk at work during the day, you know, because I need a Snickers bar, you know. So it's a little bit different animal.
Yeah. Do you
So,
miss anything?
oh, dude, I miss fucking ice cream like crazy, man. And cigarettes, you know, I miss cigarettes like crazy.
Oh,
But
that's too bad.
you know, it's one of those things, dude. It's pretty much worth it. I would say more than anything else. The result has been pretty spectacular overall.
Oh,
So,
totally. I
you
mean,
know.
if you were single, man,
Oh, dude,
you'd be on the
right? I
warpath.
know, right? I mean, goes without saying. But you know, I'm a pretty sexy beast right now. But you
now
know,
you got your no. This is like you weren't like you are skinnier now than you are in your wedding photos.
that's correct.
So like, does that get the wife excited, or does she go like like I kind of prefer a little more meat on those bones?
So I dropped 130 pounds, right? I got all the way up to 300 pounds. I went all the way down to 170 pounds. And, I was like, I looked at pictures of myself even then, and I looked like I was dying of cancer, you know, like I was starting to look a little vapid there, you know, and little gaunt.
Was that
And
because you just like get excited at like 180 and like let's keep going, you
well,
know?
dude, you just get so used to it, man. And also, like, your body fat percentage is still like, even if as a man who is 5'9", your body fat percentage is still probably like I gained a little weight back, but I was like, even then I was like right at like 19%. So like at 170 pounds, I could have still lost and been completely healthy, probably another like 30 pounds and been okay, you know? And it's like, but I look at me and go, dude, that's no, there's something wrong there. Like he looks sick. So I lost, got down to 170, and I've gained back about 25, 30 pounds. So I'm sitting at like right about 200, about 100 lost
Mhm.
I feel comfortable now. But yeah, I think she doesn't like me with a little more meat on my bones, I would say. That's one of those things. So it's been quite a wild ride here the last couple of years, man.
And
So
did that take a long time or did that just fall off of you?
a lot of it just fell off, man. Like the first year I lost probably 75, 80 pounds,
Wow.
maybe a little bit more, you know,
So
just
every time you get naked in front of the wife, she doesn't know what to expect.
dude, it was like, yeah, and suddenly I could see it. It's like, oh my God, what? No, look, there's stuff I hadn't seen in forever. It's like, oh, good and bad. I will say that, you know, uh, but no, that's true. It got to be pretty strange for a while, and I kept the beard for the longest time, and then I shaved it off after a while because I wanted to see what it looked like without it. And you know, I'm just growing a little bit of this back now, you know. So I don't know, just kind of messing around with it.
I
But
think the coolest thing about the whole thing really is that you did it while your kid is there, conscious, watching, every day, watching you fight and struggle and win. That's got to be the coolest part about the whole thing.
I would say, you know, not to toot my own horn, but that is one of the probably the best things about that whole deal. Because I mean, you know, like your kids, they can see you in the good times, right? And the good times are great, and everybody tries to make things so good for your kids. Oh no, it's going to be great, and shield them from all the bad and all the hard and all the stuff. And it's like, I don't know, I kind of disagree with it. It's like I want them to see, that life is not easy. Like it was really easy to get fat, it was really hard to be healthy, you know, and it's hard, and those are choices that I make every day, and still choices that I make, you know, and it's not easy, and giving up things that you want because you want something more, you know, and how hard that can be, you know. And like I said, I don't want to sound too egotistical about it, but at the same time, it's like I hope that I lead by example in that respect and go,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing, and this is how what this hard work looks like. You know, it's not just hard work in your daily work going to your career. You know, your life is part of that too. You know, and that's a lot of stuff that I didn't that I've had trouble with through the years is that work life balance thing. You know, and I've gotten way better at that. You know, for
Yeah.
sure.
And your barbershop quartet.
Oh, dude, what are you doing, man? There's other I could talk about the barbershop quartet, but you've like done a whole thing. Come on, we got to talk about Godless a little bit over here, man. I mean, you've immigrated to another country and come back. You know,
Yeah.
you've come back because Trump lured you back to town. You're like,
Yeah.
this. I need to be back in America all of a sudden. So
Hey, shout out to Greg from Elysian who's just tuned in on the YouTube live stream, which is just swirling by the way. But he's missed us talking about his band, so sorry
ha,
about that, Greg. Well, yeah, it's I don't know just how interesting it is. Really, it's just there's a bunch of economic factors in Dublin that just made it so that the cost of living was skyrocketing, just absolutely skyrocketing. And our landlords came back and said, we need the house back. So you guys got to get out. And when I looked at how much it was going to cost to move to someplace else, I just didn't know how we could make it work. And to be honest with you, I think that like the wife and kid, they were more excited to get back than I was, or at least to leave Ireland than I was. And
why is that?
well, for me, I enjoyed the job that I had gotten. It took a while. Those last 2 years that I was there, I was at a job that was the most fun I'd had since I'd worked in the music industry back in,
Because that was probably the toughest thing that we had talked about on the podcast, was talking about how was your struggle to try to find a
get a
career
job.
that you were satisfied in,
Yeah. And then I finally get in there and it's the best thing, that's come along in geez, nearly 20 years. And I'm enjoying it. The people are awesome. And I'm finally getting a social life again and everything is clicking. And then we kind of got hit with with having to get booted from our house. We were just renting. You understand, like you can't, it's impossible to save enough money to buy a property in Dublin,
yeah,
Ireland. They got like 2-bedroom apartments are going for, €1.5 million. It's just
damn.
it's not reasonable. So, so I just, it was up to us where to go back to and, or up to me where we were going to go to. So I said, either I'd want to move back to close to where my dad is, or I'd want to go back to Austin. So, the Austin was where I started putting my resume out and the phone started ringing first, So, so that's how I got back here. But geez, I've been back for almost a year. I feel like this social isolating thing is, this is old hat. I've been doing this since I got back because I've just got like my side hustle. I've got like, going back to school, like all of the other stuff that I'm trying to do, it just fills every hour of every day. And it's, it's tough to kind of, get out and get going again. But the fortunate thing is that like I had my kid living in Japan for the last year, almost a year. And my wife was traveling around just because she's not a U.S. citizen. So for a number of months, we were all on 3 different continents. And fortunately, just as of a few days ago, we're all back together again for the first time in almost a year. And so that's been good. But now we can't get away from each other because
Now it's like, okay, time to go. All right, why are we all stuck in this apartment together again? What the hell's going on? Oh man, son of a bitch.
That's pretty much it. It's not all that terribly exciting or interesting. I don't think it's just certainly not like the journey that you've been on. Like it's like your journey is the one that like people write memoirs about. Mine's the one that somebody writes a memoir about and everybody just goes, oh yeah, nobody's ever read that.
Hey, dude, I tell you what, I will tell you that is part of the exhausting part of all this stuff is putting my ass out there in extremely insane ways. Yeah, it's been kind of interesting. If you follow me on Facebook or you know any of that stuff, you've probably seen like pictures. The one of the high points of my last couple of years was uh those photos of us singing at the Tabernacle. Did you see that?
Mhm.
like that was crazy. Like that was some crazy stuff. Like doing the hobby, like the thing on the side that is kind of fulfilling and fun, and taking it to that level was such an interesting thing for me because it was a completely different area of stuff. So I've been putting myself out there in ways that I never even dreamed I would do ever.
What,
uh,
what's kind of cool though is that like everything you try to do, you find a way to be successful at.
Oh, dude,
Like,
it's all because I will things into existence, man. You know, you know how I am. I just keep pounding away at it, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, until it's fucking at least good, like some kind of good, you know. And I don't know. I do not like to put things together that are kind of half-assed, except for this podcast. You know, so this I will admit right now, this live stream stuff is a little bit half-assed. So, but you know, I feel like that's kind of the par for the course with how everything is right now streaming.
but
So you know,
it's
fuck
funny
it.
though that like you also have this tendency to like take a long time before you make a decision. I'm talking about you'll go years before you make a decision on something,
I
and
can.
then when you make a decision, that's the decision. That's it. You
Yep.
know.
Yep, that's true too. That is one of those things because I think about things, man. I plan. I'm that guy. I plan for all the stuff. I put all the details together. You know, that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
So I mean, shit. The trip that we took with my barbershop quartet to Salt Lake City to sing at the Tabernacle and sing in the international thing, you know, I'm the one that booked the Airbnb. I'm the one that got this is when we're gonna get there. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this. This is when we're gonna be here. Like all like structure, man. You know, but that planning all started like the day we qualified to do it. So it's like, okay, I got 6 weeks. We are gonna do this, and like, yeah, it's just another way to do what I do. You
It's
know,
impressive.
no, it's fucking aggravating, is what it is. It really is. Sometimes it's nice to be able to just go, whatever, bro. So that's why this has been fun because I just been like, okay, whatever, bro. Let's just have fun. Let's stream this thing and see where it goes, man. You know what I'm saying? So, not be responsible. So we got
Yeah.
to talk about metal at some point, right? Because if
Do
we
we?
call it the metal podcast, I mean, we do at some point. If Greg is going to listen to this, we'd already talked about how badass this cover is. So,
Yeah. Did
but I
and you saw
mean,
like Carcass's album's been pushed back, right?
yeah. So, dude, this was started to weigh on me a lot the other day. I couldn't help but think about um, how are we going to be affected toward the end of the year by the lack of any kind of new material, right? So, like, say right now, nobody's in a recording studio recording shit. They might be recording at home. Nobody's in a movie studio making a new movie. Nobody's with their bandmates in a rehearsal room, you know, writing new songs. They're not producing stuff like that. They're producing content for themselves in a lot of cases. They may be writing songs for themselves, but what kind of content are we going to wind up with toward the end of the year once we start to crawl out of this quarantine? Is it going to be like really fucked up and strange? And we're not going to have any, because I got to feel like, and I don't know this for a fact, but if like the guys from Allegiant put out a song right now that's a cover song, I have a feeling that that has been worked on for months before they came to the point where they put that out right now, right? So
Yeah.
that's been, you know,
And that was recorded in a real studio and all that.
exactly, you know, 3 months in the making to try to get it to this point. They may have either rushed it or delayed it to get it where it's at right now. You know, probably rushed it to get it out a little bit early, you know, instead of putting it on an EP coming out in the summer or something like that, you know. So something special for the quarantine, you know, to have a song out and something to cool listen to. So what's going to happen to all the stuff, not just the things that were scheduled to come out now or in like around this time, but the stuff that would have come out toward the end of the year, like Megadeth working on a new record, which nobody's going to want to hear anyway, but it's coming out. That was supposed to come out in the fall. So that's going to be probably spring of next year, like, are we going to be without a bunch of stuff that we thought we were going to have?
So, all right, here's my theory, right? Because earlier today, I got my 16-year-old, he just came back from the US. So, we went out so he could drive the car for the first time. That was
Oh,
that was
wow.
the plan this evening, right? So one of the places that we went to is we went to the nearby mall, shopping mall, and
Parking lot.
obviously, yeah,
Yeah.
there is nothing going on in the shopping mall or outside the shopping mall, except that there's already like one of the department stores, which it must have been shuttered, a year ago, 2 years ago. I have no idea how long ago, and hasn't been replaced. Has got a whole bunch of their parking is being obviously rented out by a nearby car lot that sells new cars, and they just have the parking lot stuff with new cars, right?
Yeah. I've seen
All
that.
right.
That most of the malls do that actually.
So this is like here we go. This is an analogy, right? So I'm
No, no,
thinking
I get
about like how the shopping mall was dying, and all this does is it takes that 3-year window or 2-year window, 4-year window, however many years shopping malls had left, and it's just abbreviated. They're done. And everything that was going to die in like 8 to 10 years, well, now it's going to die in like 4 to 5.
you. Mm,
And
okay.
everything is accelerated. At least the death of these things is going to accelerate. What I wonder is if it happens with music as well, where things like full-length albums, nobody listens to full-length albums all that much anymore. It's all about like you click a song and it Pandora's a mix based on that song, and you're getting a whole bunch of stuff thrown at you. Especially if you don't, you're not a paying subscriber to Spotify or wherever. They're just going to give you, you click an album and you want to play it. They ain't going to give it to you. They're going to throw you a whole bunch of other stuff and ads, because if you want to hear the whole album, you got to pay for the subscription.
Right.
So people are listening to song at a time. And whether the death of the album, which might have been 6 years, 8 years away, is now being accelerated. Is recording studios, where the technology that exists on home setups and laptops, all that sort of thing, where you just DI into your guitar and it sounds just as good as being in a studio, like whether that is something that they're like, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do what we can to make it sound as best we can with the tools we have in front of us. And the death of the recording studio, which might have been 10 years, 12 years away, actually gets accelerated, and it's only 3 or 4 years away. You know what I'm saying?
So everybody's Misha Mansour now. So, okay. All right, cool. It is what it is. Well, dude, I mean, how long have I been talking about that as a thing? It's like, it's time for the LP to die. It's all about EPs, man. I've been saying that for a decade now.
Yeah. And now I don't think it's even about the EP. I think it's about singles.
Well, and I mean, technically, if you go and look at what a good average EP is nowadays, it's like 4 songs, maybe 5 songs, and 2 of those songs are covers, and one is like a EDM version of the first track that's on there or whatever. It's like a remix or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I say EP, it's basically like an extended single.
Yeah.
Remember those back in the day, the cassette,
Oh, yeah.
3 songs on them or whatever. So it's kind of like that. But no, I think that may be true, where it just kind of accelerates it. But what's kind of cool about that aspect of it is that it can increase your frequency. So like, you may not have it may be an album a year, or an album every 2 years, or an album every 3 years, depending on how much money you make off said album. If you're an A-level band who can tour on a one album, one LP for 3 years. But if you can release content every month, that's a badass new song. That kind of keeps you always going, always moving forward. That subscription model that Protest the Hero did, right? It's that idea that you've always got something propelling you forward. It's kind of an interesting idea and concept behind it. It might start to drive other people in that direction.
It would be, I mean, I would imagine just as a band economically, like when a band is like, okay, we got to go out, we got to do another album cycle with this, we got to go out and tour and make money. Well, then there's all this work and all this marketing and all this stuff that you need to do for that tour to make sense, right? You got to release an album, you got to record the album, you got to write the album, like, oh my God, all that going on. But if you're just constantly putting out a song every once in a while, you can just call up the booking agent and say, put us on the road. We got a whole bunch of stuff we want to play. And if the promoters are used to getting those phone calls rather than you got another album cycle, can you put them in your venue? Now the promoters will be like, yeah, sure, we'll have him back. I haven't had him back in, 9, 12 months. So yeah, absolutely. And now all that hassle that a band usually has to go through in order to make the income of touring goes away.
Mm. I think the most interesting thing that has a possibility of being, it could be a casualty of it, but there might be a different way, is bands, will they become influencers, or are they like, because like, who's going to be your superstar? Who's going to be everybody's always says in the metal world is like, who's going to be the next Metallica, right? That question, right? But really, who's going to be the next Metallica? So who's your next big star, and how does that look in a world of singles versus a world of LPs? How does that look in a world of micro consumption instead of macro consumption? Like, I'm not sitting there glued to this entire album and worshiping, like true album worship like we used to. What does that look like now? So does that personality have to be somebody like Matt Heafy, who is writing a good single, has a great Twitch stream, does really cool stuff on Instagram, is a pretty kind of fun, nice dude in person, and like a well-rounded sort of individual becomes the next sort of star out of these things because they're an influencer. They're not just like a metal band. You know what I mean? So like, it almost has to go to that level to where it becomes more of an entertainment value all the way around instead of just the music. And I don't know if I like that or not. I mean, I sort of like it in one respect and don't like it in others, So I'm like, I don't know.
I don't think
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I just don't know that that's the only way. And I think also, like, I don't think that that's too different from the way things were necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, granted, because you'd have to do magazines and other things, whatever those things used to be, cover the Rolling Stone, so you gotta get there.
Like Motley Crue, I'm sorry, I get it. There are people who are Motley Crue fans. I can't relate.
They're a brand, not a band.
They're even less. They're just personalities, and a reputation.
But that's branding, dude. That is all brand.
Exactly. But that's no different than what, say, an influencer would be, doing the Instagram, the Twitch, and the rest of it. Like, it's just that Heafy's brand is very different from Motley Crue's brand. But if Motley Crue existed today, they'd just be going wild and crazy on Instagram and streaming their parties on Twitch. Or
would they? Because the thing is that like, is that personality what rings? So the thing is that is Matt Heafy the new the new Motley Crue, basically, is what I'm saying. So like the big stars, it's just a different choice of what you actually choose to put out there and show. So like, used to be, oh, we want parties with chicks and doing drugs and all the things. This is the coolest thing ever. Now a lot of people don't think it's as cool as it used to be. Hey, Me Too and stuff. We need to be pretty cool about this. It's a whole different level, right?
Yeah, people aren't doing it right. The Crew knew how to party. Like, nobody knows how to party anymore. Not like the Crew.
It's party like a Steel Panther party, man. I tell you that.
Yeah, why aren't they streaming their parties on Twitch? I think you just can't get away with it as much as you used to back then.
No, they probably are. What are you talking about? I mean, we're just too freaking old for it. That's a problem. What's a Twitch?
But like, like some band should have been live streaming on the beach at spring break in Daytona this year. Totally. But I think that what's exciting about the idea of doing the singles rather than the albums is now when you hear a single that you love, now you go find the second song that you love, and now you become a fan of the band.
Or do you?
I think you do.
I don't know. I mean,
I almost think it would be interesting in retrospect if Metallica, like, there some Twitter feed is like, I forget what they were doing, but it was something along the lines of like, it's like every day of the Civil War, they tweet as if it's in real time. Like,
Oh,
I almost wonder if you were to
that's fun.
redo Metallica's career on Twitter in real time and just have them releasing singles instead of albums, it would be almost a really interesting way if you didn't have that clear delineation between Injustice for All and the Black Album that sort of separates everything. Perhaps now that the delineation wouldn't be so clear, and now the journey from one to oh geez, what's one of the stupid ballads on the
Nothing
Black
else matters.
yeah, nothing else matters. It's like, but you know, it was like 3 years of difference in, you know, Bob Rock's, you know, inflated ego and, you know, and this, you know, big cash grab that delineated those two songs. But what if it was only 8 weeks and all the rest of the stuff you don't even really know about? Would you
Mhm.
still hear Nothing Else Matters and go, huh, yeah, no, okay, I can see where you're going.
But with all the noise and things that are out there, do you think people pay attention? I mean, and that's the hard part that you have here
That
is
is
that
our
it's all part of the static, right? So like a song is a song. I mean, it's got to be really fucking good for it to
that's
cut all
no
the way through.
yeah, but that's no different than before. It
No,
really
I agree with that. But dude, there was a time when you go and spend 16.99 on a freaking album, and now you gotta listen to that album because I don't have another 16.99 to go fucking get another record. So I gotta listen to this shit and I gotta love it because I spent money on it. Like that's
but how cool is it like when a band like put it, the way it is now, band puts out an album, you listen to it for geez, with the way things are going, you listen to it for a week or two, you
mm,
know, maybe you go back and listen to a couple tracks every once in a while, but like it doesn't get that much focus. Maybe the band comes on tour, you listen to it a few times before the show, and then you forget about them for like 2 years. And then they come back with something, you go, oh yeah, I gotta re-listen to that old album. Like if they're putting out a single every 8 weeks or so, every once in a while you go, oh shoot, they got something new. Oh, you know, while I'm listening to that, I'm going to listen to this other stuff that they've got. I forgot how much I like that as well. And now it can be a little bit more omnipresent. We can glue ourselves and really cling to bands that we really love more than we do now, which is in the nature of these albums. It's the each song is devalued so much.
but my point being is that you have to get to that point of love though. So like
Oh, absolutely.
so but it's one thing when you think about the bands that we love, and okay, if I hear another song from Iron Maiden every single day, I'm like, okay, well, fucking kick ass, that's badass, I love that band, all right.
Yeah.
But how do you get to that level in somebody's psyche with one song?
Same way that you do now.
I mean, but
What's the
I don't
difference?
know. Well, because you got to be able, like, you got to be able to follow right behind it with a. I'm talking like, say you're a brand spanking new band, first debut record, one song you put out, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't have anything else, I mean,
You
people.
got it's social media. You got playthroughs, you got interviews, you got behind the scenes. You're gonna do all that crap for weeks.
So you're an Insta brand. You need to be a brand from day one, is what you're saying.
Or you put out a song and people don't like it all that much.
Mhm.
And you can go, well, all right, wait, instead of waiting 8 weeks for the next song, let's put out the next one as fast as possible. So that way we can get something that people actually will like and
Good
grab.
example of that right now is like the new Lamb of God right now. So
Oh no, really?
I've only heard two songs right now, and the first one did not like it very much. I mean, it wasn't awful, wasn't bad. It's just it needed some flair. New one, oh my god, it's just
Good.
like, it's a banger. So like it's like, okay, all right. So you still got some of this. We just missed on a little bit over here. All right,
Yeah.
bad choice of first single. Good
Yeah. And
choices.
I see, I don't think that what I'm talking about here is all that different in that respect. It's just that the payoff doesn't come with an album release on a
Right,
Friday in
right.
3 weeks that nobody really pays that much attention to anyway.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I mean, I can see the value in that. But there's also like part of me that the return to analog is something that a lot of people are kind of enjoying in a lot of respects. So there's this level of no, don't freaking roll your eyes at me. I know better. If I didn't have a video camera on your ass, I would be able to hear you rolling your eyes. So kiss my ass. I know it. I know what you're doing. You're like, yeah, vinyl disc, fuck my ass. No, I know, but
Tchotchke.
but you can't deny that that's real, and that's actually a trend. Like, with this shutdown, the sales have dried up like crazy, but there's going to be a pent up demand. You just watch when the markets open back up, people are going to go crazy. They're going to want vinyl like crazy. But they're,
Nobody's
but they're,
listening to the vinyl. It's a
they,
souvenir. It's just like what I got on my wall.
yeah, but that's because you don't. Come on, I got a turntable sitting right here, and I have actually listened to vinyl in the last week. So the thing is that, like, it is something that I think people would still want to enjoy on some level, to have that album. There is something to be said. There was a great article. I think it might have been a Rolling Stone article about the active listening, about actually active listening to an album, and being able to have that peace of putting on your headphones, stopping everything in the world for at least 30 minutes to an hour and listening to nothing but music, like being actively listening. When you're on your phone and you're looking at your computer and you got the TV on in the background and the kids are running around and things are going on in your world, you're not listening to music. You may be hearing some of it, but you're not listening to it. And I think there's a difference between that and that's why we're okay with a single. If we actively are listening and stop for a second, and I don't know that this is going to change. This quarantine shit will change anything in the end as far as how we react to things, but at the same time, I can hope that there can be something like that sort of gets revisited a little bit, because I value those times that I was able to sit down and listen to things and listen to the lyrics and be involved in that. It's changed me as a human being. So I think there's a lot of value in that. And you could do that on Spotify. But if you're releasing singles and you're releasing EPs, it's way harder to do, and you don't get the same experience.
I disagree with that because I think that you can still play all the songs by this artist and you're good.
Well, yeah, but it still doesn't mean that their overarching message is the same thing throughout their entire career. If you are play all the songs from Metallica and it mixes everything together, what the fuck are you gonna get?
But if you listen to chronological order, it'd be no different than when you listen to it, album by album. There's
No,
still,
I disagree.
still an argument for batching songs together thematically or temporally or whatever, but it's artists are already doing that on Spotify when they create their own playlists. Like, here are songs that are good to work out to, and here are songs that are good to have dinner to. And
yeah, who just did that? Somebody just did that, where they did it was Clutch actually just did a thing where they did all their monster songs together. Did you see that?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's actually kind of brilliant. I was like, that's really a good idea.
Yeah.
But
So
but
why is it?
that's curated by the artist, though.
Yes, and it should be like, and I don't think anything changes with that. You still put out singles, you can still batch them together in a hell of a lot more interesting ways than these are the ones we were able to record from this day to this day, which is the old way of doing it.
But what's wrong with the old way? Is it
It's
just out with the old? Is it over? Is it done?
well, I don't think it's a bad thing when it is gone. Just like I don't think it's all that bad when the shopping mall is done.
Well, no, and I'm not saying that it has to all be there. I still think that there's going to be, what I think there's going to be is there's going to be a parallel, because and there already was a growing parallel in this anyway, with modern artists that record shit in their basement, put it out immediately on YouTube or on Twitch, versus doom artists who are still playing the same song they started fucking 3 years ago right now. So like it's there is a duality that exists right now, and I think there's options for both of those things. So I think they can coexist, and they will. At least I hope so anyway, in some levels and respects. But is one better than the other? Is
I
kind of
think
what
that
is
the
where I get to.
more control you give to the artist, the better. The more things that they can do to make things interesting, like Clutch, like you're saying, here are our monster songs. If those were all, relatively new songs, or if they're even just the first way you are introduced to those songs, that, and you're not introduced to those songs because they're on Elephant Riders, for
Right,
example,
right.
like that's okay. It's just a different way of experiencing it. And it might be better, if nothing else. It's just the way that the artist found more interesting right
Mm,
now. The same way that, like, what makes, putting out a song after a song after a song is so much more interesting for an artist than putting it on a record, is because the record is limited to, well, this side is only 17 minutes and this side's only 17 minutes. And you got to finish up those first 3 or 4 songs in 17 minutes because you can't continue the song on the B side. You know what I mean? And
yeah, yeah,
now you're limited.
yeah. Hmm. Interesting. I don't know,
Mhm.
man. I don't know. I can see the value to. I don't know. Yeah, and then you still that's right. Are artists ready for that? Are they ready for that? Like, because I'm thinking about the old guard, and I'm like, are they actually ready for that though?
Oh, totally. No, no.
You know?
Everybody hates change. Change is scarier than anything.
But I mean, it's cool to see somebody like Clutch, who is, I would say, B plus level, as far as like in the scheme of selling like big ass shows and shit like that. You know what I mean? I think they're a number one in my book. But
Totally.
the thing is that they're big enough that they don't have to do that. But they also realized a long time ago that ownership is 100% of everything. You need to fucking own your own shit because they got screwed, and we're able to get all their stuff back, open their own label, put out their own shit. Like they're a DIY from day one. So I feel like that's something that they're used to.
Hmm.
When you ask Dave Mustaine to do that, that's going to be a different animal. You're going to get a different result. But or even Randy Bly for that matter. Like that's going to
Yep.
be a different result than a band who's trying to make it, who's trying to push. You know,
Well,
it's just a different level.
it's the way that people are consuming the music is already changed. So you can
Oh
either
yeah,
change
dude.
with them or you can fight against it. And those people who find really cool, new, and interesting ways to satisfy the way that people are listening to music now, they're the ones who are going to succeed no matter what the quality of their music is. And everybody else will then follow. So you can either lead or you can follow. I'd like to think that even the old guard artists still fancy themselves as leaders in their art. So I'd hope that they go out and try to find new and interesting ways to put their music out rather than just the old way because it's the way we've always done it.
I would think. Yeah, I
And
mean, at
I
least you'd hope anyway.
and like the labels exist in order to keep those conventions alive because that's how they make their money. The moment that the way the money is earned is changed is the moment that the labels change. And the artists, if you're signed to a label, you got no choice in the matter. Oftentimes you're going to go with however they want you to do it.
Well, I think that's already changing. I mean, because labels are making more money off streaming than they ever have. I mean, not just because of quarantine or whatever, but this now in 2020, that's kind of how the way of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's they're if anything, the artists are probably making more money off physical product than they ever have versus streaming. You know what I mean? The labels are making the money off the streaming. So that's starting to switch in a way, where an artist can put like you're saying, your collector's item piece of vinyl, your collector's item shirt, or whatever it is, those things that people want to collect and to have, the artist is going to make more money off of that stuff than the label will, where it used to be the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
That $16 album that you bought, maybe 25 cents went to your artist and the other 15 went to everybody in between the artist and the label. So, just and now I think it's just getting to the reverse of that, where
Oh, and my man, do I feel bad for everybody, all those record stores still clinging to their brick and mortar. Oh man, what
yeah,
few are left are gone now.
you know, oh, I don't know, man. It's gonna be rough. It is gonna be rough for sure.
So we doing this again, Chuck?
Do what? I don't know. Are we doing this again?
I don't know. It's up to you, dude.
I think so. I think we might have to do this at least a couple more quarantine
Just to
corn
get the
casts.
live stream working, we got to do it again.
I do. I don't have Google Fiber out here in the boondocks, man. So I gotta figure out what the fuck's going on. If nothing else, what I'll do, make sure this gets. I've been recording this whole meeting and stuff, so we'll throw that up on YouTube and have that posted and stuff. But yeah, I want to get it to the point where my live video and chat and all the other things are kind of going at the same time so that we could sync all that. But
Yeah,
no,
let me
I
see
think
if
we're
there's
getting there.
anything in the chat here that we should talk about before we wrap up here. But I
Yeah,
think
so
we all
Twitch is
feed.
better for live streams. Let's see.
Twitch might be better. Maybe we
Yeah,
move to Twitch.
maybe. I do have a couple accounts over there, but then you got to use OBS, and I hate OBS. But I can work on that one.
All right. Yeah, it's just all that complaining.
Yeah, well, they'll get some of it anyway at some point. So no, it's gonna be I don't know. I think we should do a few more of these, see how we feel. We always seem to be able to talk shit about something and never about the thing that we say we're going to talk shit about. So
God damn, like 80 minutes.
that's what son of a bitch. More on my barbershop quartet next week. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out, and hopefully, we'll be able to have some more of this stuff here because I love talking to this guy. I can't help it. That's more than anything, that's what this is all about. It's about two dudes who just can't shut the fuck up, and that's that the new name of the podcast. Okay, something like that. All right. So till next week, maybe? Question mark. Okay. I'm Chuck.
And I'm godless.
And this is another episode of the metal podcasts, Quarancast, something. I don't know. What the hell we call this thing? Something like that. It's close enough.